How you doing there, Raiders? It's Aaron Blue Eyes back with another Arc Raiders live stream, and we're gonna take the buffed Bettina to the gun range and test out a bunch of different options and see which one we like the best. Does this mean it's gonna be the best solution for everybody, the ultimate meta? No, this is gonna be what I like the best, but it still might give you a little bit of insight and provide some help on what you may or may not want to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to test the comp. Now I want to preface this, I don't have a couple things that I would have liked to include in this test just because I don't have the blueprints, so I can't make them yet. I don't have compensator 3. We do have a compensator 2. We have a muzzle brake 3, but not a muzzle brake 2. We actually will pick up a muzzle brake 2 though in the gun range. We got an extended barrel 2. We have an extended barrel 3. I'm not going to bother testing the extended barrel 1 because the 2 is better than 1 and you don't have any negative trade-off with an increased vertical recoil, whereas you do with the extended barrel 3. We're also going to test the silencer 3, vertical grip 2, vertical grip 3, horizontal grip, angle grip 3 and 2, and the padded stock, kinetic converter, and stable stock. We could, if we wanted to, bring in a silencer 2 and a silencer 1 just to hear the audible differences. So maybe we should actually do that. Alright. I'm pretty sure we have a silencer 1 around here somewhere. And if we don't, we can just make one. Alright, you know what? We might actually just buy it.
Forgot something? Make sure nobody traces that back to me.
No worries, no worries. Alright, now we got all the silencers in there. So, let's group. So we have the 3 stock options that I would consider using. Vertical grips, angle grips, the one and only horizontal grip, extended barrel 2, 3, silencer 1, 2, and 3. And compensators and muzzle brakes. Like I said, we'll pick up the muzzle brake 2 once we get in the gun range. So let's go check it out. We're gonna actually shoot the gun initially with no attachments, and then we'll start putting attachments on it and see how they fare. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just do, with no attachments on, a test to see how the shot groups are and what the vertical and horizontal recoil are with no stabilization or attachments. So we're just going to shoot right in the middle here and just pull the trigger and see what happens. Although I do have a little bit of... There we go. Alright. I had a little bit of stick drift and want to disable that. Woo, doggy, look at that big curve, man. Up and to the right. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and manually try to control it without any attachments, okay? Alright, ignore this climbing one right here. I really wasn't controlling it much. It's not great. Definitely to be desired. But, so that's why we're here for attachments. So what we're gonna do next, I think, is we're gonna focus on let's focus on the grips. I think we'll start there. So let's start with a horizontal grip 2 and not control it and just shoot and see what happens. Not gonna bother wasting the bullets. Still huge vertical climb up and to the right. Let's check that out with the angle grip 2. Actually, angle grip 3. Very similar results, but it's a little less horizontal sway because it's got a little more horizontal control. Now we're going to do the same thing with the vertical grip 2 and then the vertical grip 3. Again, we're not trying to stabilize, we're just trying to see how the gun handles. Alright, so I almost feel like it's worse vertically, which doesn't make any sense, but that's what I just felt like. Alright, let's go ahead and try it with the third vertical grip. Okay, so that makes a difference. Look how many more shots we got before we started going off the billboard over here. So there's definitely an improvement with the vertical grip 3. But we have the downside of the reduced ADS. Alright, now we're going to go to the horizontal grip. So this is going to give us both horizontal and vertical recoil reduction with an ADS speed issue. So like, I don't want to have two negatives in relation to ADS and or equip speed. I want to have one or the other and not both. And I really would like to try to avoid ADS changes. Alright, we're going to shoot right here and see how it climbs. Alright, it's comparable to the vertical grips. Alright, now we're doing everything isolated initially, and then we'll start mixing and matching based on what we think might work. Alright, so we're going to start with a padded stock. So this is supposed to give stability, give a reduction to both horizontal and vertical recoil, as well as a 20% reduced per shot dispersion, which helps with weapon bloom. But it also has a negative to to equip and unequip, as well as ADS. We have that same negative to equip and unequip with the stable stock, but no ADS penalty. Alright, let's go ahead and shoot this. Again, not stabilized, just shooting it and seeing what Alright, I didn't really see much of an improvement there. Alright. We're going to do this and then we'll do the kinetic converter last. Alright. So supposedly the stable stock 3 is supposed to be pretty good. So we get a 50% reduced recoil recovery time and a 50% reduced dispersion recovery time. The negatives are equip and unequip. Okay, right off the bat, we can see what a difference that made. Look, we even, I think, took more shots by a little bit. With the other stocks, we were off the billboard, the top of the billboard, was shooting this thing. So that's already really promising. Let's go over here, grab some more ammunition. And we're also going to grab a couple of components we need to have with us. So we're going to grab this guy right here. And I'm curious to see how the Stable Stock 2 compares to the Stable Stock 3. It's not going to be as good, but I'm just wondering how much of a difference there is. Alright, Stable Stock 2 test. Alright, so Stable Stock 2 isn't too bad either, but it's definitely not as good as the Stable Stock 3. Okay, so next up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna test the silencers, and we're also gonna test the compensator 2 versus the muzzle brake 3 and 2. And we'll enter the third muzzle brake after we've done equal grades of compensator and muzzle brake, because we don't have a compensator 3, unfortunately. So let's go to the silencers, right? We'll shoot it unsuppressed, and we're going to hear the echo on the gun range when we're shooting this of how loud it is. Alright, so that is unsuppressed. Let's put silencer 2 on it. You can still hear an echo, but it's already a significant difference. Oh, I just picked up a gun. God fucking damn it. Alright, we're gonna shoot this, and then we're gonna switch silencers to hear the sound difference quickly. Holy shit. There's like no echo. Gotta reload. So you get a little bit of a reverberation with the silencer 2, but the silencer 3 there's like none. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to put on the muzzle brake 2, and we're going to see how this affects recoil. Vertical recoil, how much is this climbing? And horizontal. And then we'll do it with 11. We gotta do that test again. We've ran out of ammo. So you get I almost think that's weird. I almost feel like the level 2 was better than the level 3. But let's go ahead and put the compensator on, and we'll see our shot groups with this. We're gonna not control it. And then we're going to control it now and just see what it looks like. That was horrible. It still fights me a lot with that recoil with no other attachments on it. Immediately, we're going to get rid of this guy. And, come back in here for another stack. Alright. So now what we're going to do is, we're going to just showcase the difference between a normal rate of fire versus the kinetic converter's rate of fire, okay? We're not doing any kind of like target testing. We're just trying to listen for how much quicker the shot is. Holy shit, the recoil was off the charts, but the rate of fire was really good. Alright, now that we've done all those tests, what we're going to focus on is trying to piecemeal together some builds that I think will work based on, you know, my knowledge of the gun and the game. Okay, so we want some dispersion control potentially. We also want definitely vertical recoil over horizontal. And then we want some dispersion recovery, maybe some recoil recovery. And I think there might be a couple different builds I'll like. I think to start off, we're going to focus on a build that I think is super accurate. And as much as I would normally go for a padded stock, I feel like for whatever reason a padded stock just isn't as good. On paper it looks like it should be better than this, but it's not. And I think it's because of that per shot dispersion is only 20%, whereas here it's 50. But it also reduces the recoil recovery time, and it has a slower rate of fire. So I think that's why it benefits so much. So a guess build that I have, right, is I think if we use a stable stock 3 combined with a vertical grip 2, that should give us something that's not being impacted negatively with ADS, but keeping some decent accuracy. And then after that we can figure out what attachment or attachments plural we should put on for a barrel attachment. Alright, this time we're just going to pull the trigger again and not control it, and then we'll control it after that and compare the two. Look at that. I'm not even holding my left thumbstick or my right thumbstick. Actually, right thumbstick is no. It didn't go anywhere. It stayed pretty consistent. All right, let's go ahead and try to aim some shots and see what happens. Control it. Wow, it's not even fighting that much. Oh, dude, this is feeling like a laser. It really is. Holy shit. That right side was glittering. It was like it was hitting it, but it wasn't. I don't recommend holding this gun down full auto. I try to use it more like a battle rifle, right? Where you're doing semi-automatic to 3-round bursts at most for targets at range. and only hold it down for full automatic, either at hip firing or closer engagements. Alright, so that felt really fucking good. Surprisingly good, and we don't even have a barrel attachment on, right? So let's keep these two in the mix, and let's compare a compensator versus a muzzle brake to see if there's any real difference in controllability or shot groups. Alright, so let's start with Compensator 2. This is a go-to for a lot of guns, and we'll see how it stacks up here. Those are all pretty tightly grouped. So I just did a 3-round burst. Let's do a full auto magnum. Alright, we're fighting it a little bit more than I thought I would need to, but it's still not too bad. Alright, now let's put the muzzle brake 3. Now, this is going to increase our durability rate, but ever since the Embark has reworked the guns, epic and legendary guns have increased durability, so I'm not too worried about it now with guns that are epic or legendary. So that was way easier to control, and the shot group was a little tighter using the muzzle brake 3. I almost think the muzzle brake is better on this gun than the dispersion. Okay. With that being said, I think the barrel situation especially if I'm gonna 3-tap it most of the time, I think is not as important per se for controllability of the gun, but more for either silencing it or extending its effective range and damage drop off. So the Extended Barrel 2 has a 20% increased bullet velocity and a 10% increased distance until damage fall off. And Extended Barrel 3 has an extra 10%, so it's 30%. Has an extra 5% in the damage fall off, but it has more vertical recoil. So let's test it out with both of these extended barrels, and I'm leaning towards, my gut's telling me I'm probably going to use an extended barrel on this gun. So those are all pretty nice tight shop groups. Alright. Now let's do the Extended Barrel 3 and see how much more vertical kick we get. I can definitely feel that vertical kick, but it's still not bad because of the vertical, because of this guy right here. Let's try to shoot some targets at range and see what happens. Look at that. Fucking right on the money. I'm liking the way that feels. We don't have an ability burn penalty, which is great. I was kind of worried that the extra vertical recoil would be a problem, but it's not really. Not with this. You know what? Just for shits and gigs, let's put the vertical grip 3 stock on. I mean, vertical grip 3 on. It's not a stock. And see if that extra 10%, even though we have an ADS speed issue with it, see if that feels better than the vertical grip 2. It does feel better, but that ADS speed is horrible. Like, watch my reticle as I go to ADS. See how long it takes? It feels like an eternity. See how much quicker that is? I wish I had a light stock blueprint. I kind of would like to try a light stock in this too. So yeah, I definitely don't want that increased ADS situation, which is yet another negative to this, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw away things that we think are not worth putting on this gun. So we're dropping angle grip 3. We're dropping a horizontal. We're dropping a padded stock. We're dropping a vertical grip 3. All gone, all gone. I want to test out the angle grip 2 and see how that feels. Nope. That's gone. That's gone. Vertical grip is the way to go with this gun. It's got such a big caliber because it's heavy ammo. It really needs that vertical recoil control. Alright, so it's a toss-up between the extended barrel 3 and the extended barrel 2. It's a little more controllable with the extended barrel 2. But we're getting an extra 10% in bullet velocity here. And an extra 5% in damage fall off, which we really can't measure that. But the point of having the extra bullet velocity is you can have your rounds reach your target more quickly. You don't have to lead them as much, especially with like flying drones and stuff, or raiders that are running off in the distance. You're gonna reach out, connect to your target, splash on your target way better by having that extra 10%, and it's also gonna provide pushback because of the high velocity against flying arc, especially like Rocketeers, using this, one of these two, with heavy ammo, I think is going to reduce the Rocketeer's mobility to push on you. Same thing with maybe a Vaporizer. And that's what I'm really going to use this for, is PvE. It is viable for PvP, I think, but I'm mainly using it for PvE. So I think build number one for me personally is, if I don't want to have to control the recoil, is this setup. It's also cheaper. It's a cheaper build. And if I lose it because I got killed by a rat, or something goes awry with fighting arc, I'll be less concerned losing this setup than something with an epic level attachment. So I think this is going to be my bare bones base version build that I'm always going to go to. And if I feel froggy, I'll use the extended barrel. And I think that's my go-to. Those are going to be my two main versions of this gun. However, with that being said, I think the kinetic converter might have a little place in this equation. If I brought the kinetic converter and a silencer 3, I would maybe do this. So the recoil is kind of shitty. Where did I throw all those parts? I'm gonna pick up parts I thought I wasn't gonna pick up. Let's grab our horizontal grip and our vertical grip 3. Let's test the vertical grip 3 with the kinetic converter. Sounds so crazy. Alright, it's not bad, but this might be the better setup. So this durability burn rate is my only drawback to this setup. How much louder is it with the silencer 2? Can hear that reverberation difference. There's no reverberation when you use the silencer 3. Listen. Well, there is, but it's really reduced. See, this gun is just too powerful to be rocking this. So let's turn this off. we have an ADS speed situation with this, but we also could maybe hip fire and then go into ADS, which what I think the horizontal grip is really supposed to be meant to do. That way you're shooting it before you pull it up. It has a durability burn issue. Let's see what this is like. I'm gonna just try that. It's actually not too bad with that. I'm gonna compare the. I'm gonna do a mag dump with the muzzle brake 3, and then we'll do that versus compensator 2, and see how it looks. It really goes haywire the longer you pull the trigger. I feel better. I wish I had a compensator 3. I feel better with the muzzle brake 3. Alright, so I think if I was to rock this with the kinetic converter, it's a toss-up between the horizontal grip and the vertical grip 2. And I don't think the compensator is good for this gun. And I do like the silencers on the gun. I just don't know if I would want to use the silencers with the stable stock or not. It probably would be fine either way, but yeah. So here's where I'm at build wise. Okay. All right. So the safe build that isn't going to be something you're going to be devastated losing if you get killed, and also for greater accuracy over range, is going to be stable stock 3, vertical grip 2, and then a toss-up between the extended barrel 2 and 3. If you want to really reach out and touch someone from greater range, use the extended barrel 3. You're still getting a range benefit with extended barrel 2, and you have more controllability with your vertical recoil than you do with the extended barrel 3. And you can feel it. It kicks a little more, but it's not unwieldy. It's not bad. And then if you're going to use the if you're going to use the kinetic converter, I would go with either vertical grip 2 or the horizontal grip. You're going to get that horizontal recoil as well as the vertical recoil control that you don't get with the vertical grip 2, but you're also going to have an ADS penalty. And then I would recommend the muzzle brake 3 or 2 for additional recoil control. And if you're using, and then as far as silencers go, silencer 2 is probably always kind of the best silencer to run with on most guns, because you have that burn rate increase with this. But because it's an epic weapon, it's not going to be too detrimental, and you still have that here with this either way if you're using a muzzle brake 3 or a compensator 3. So the reason, if I was to use a silencer on a build that's based on the buttstock, either the kinetic or the stable stock, I would lean more towards using it with the kinetic, because I think the kinetic, the rate of fire difference is noticeable. And I think if you're going to be using a kinetic converter, you want to mitigate raiders hearing you from a distance and maybe knowing that you have the kinetic converter because of that rate of fire. And so safeguarding yourself a little bit with a silencer, I think, will help with a kinetic converter. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Where I'm probably going to start off with raids and just see how it is I'm probably going to run this right here. This is probably going to be my go-to build for this gun. And then if I feel a little extra frosty, then I'm going to rock this setup right here. Knowing that if you die, you're losing 3 items that you cannot craft because there's no blueprints. And it will be a very sad day for for you if you lose this build for any reason. But I think that build will be interesting. So that's kind of where my Bettina builds are netting, based on the way it felt to me, and performance. Hopefully this guide helped you a little bit. And you can test out the Bettina with these setups and see which ones you like the best. So this is laser beam at range with pushback, and this is high rate of fire, which is better for medium to close engagements. So thanks for watching, Raiders. Until next time, we'll see you topside. Peace.